The police have arrested 6 suspects in connection with the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale. Mr. Hussein Swale, a member of undercover journalist Anas Arimea Anas's Tiger IPI team, was assassinated last month at Medina, a suburb of Accra, while heading home at about 10 p.m. The police say the suspects have been cautioned and granted bail. Director General Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service ACP David Eklu told journalists in Kumasi on Thursday, apart from the 6 suspects, Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejepong, former GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi, and Ahmed's boss Anas Arimea Anas have all been questioned in connection with the case.
Announced that the 15,000 CD bounty has been placed on any information that would aid in arresting the suspects. Eyewitnesses have been interviewed, and as I speak now, 6 suspects have been arrested, questioned, and are currently on bail. In addition to that, 3 other persons that we believe may have information relating to that matter have been questioned and have been given statement forms to give their statement to the police. They include the MP for Asin Central, Honorable Kennedy Ejepong, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, and Anas Arimea Anas. They have all been given statement forms to give statements and return them to the police. So we are working around the clock to get those criminals face the full rigors of the law.
In another development, ousted Ghana Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi is breaking his silence 8 months after broadcast of the number 12 investigative piece by Tiger IPI that showed him using the name of President Akufo-Addo and his vice, Dr. Baumia, to take a bribe from a prospective investor of the Ghana Premier League. The huge public angst that followed the expose led to the sacking of Kwesi Nyantakyi and the dissolution of the country's football governing body. In an interview on Man FM Thursday morning, former CAF Vice President detailed events that led to the expose likening Tiger IPI with international terrorist organization ISIS.
They asked a lawyer who teaches in Legon. He knows him, he's his friend. He contacted me and asked me to pay $150,000. And I said I didn't have the money. And that's why all this Hulabaloo came about.
$150,000.
US dollars.
Wow.
They were even demanding $400,000 US dollars because project now or a sponsored project. And for no more GFA or more payment, they paid $400,000 for us to do that.
Wow.
Now, Chica or the man who Dubai, that money he claims is $65,000. It has to be proven because I received $40,000, which was in $50 notes. 8 of that. Who shares video now? You can count it. Or no, or cut 65. All my denominations, they be a $1 note, they be a $2 note, they be a $5 note are on track. So he came some days in blue, in some days in white, and in other colors. And when he comes, he's so jittery. In the moment he receives a call, when he's with you, within 1 hour, no, it doesn't take 1 hour. Maximum be at 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
He needs to
get you receive about 10 to 20 calls. And then he has earphones. He has some wires connected inside his dress all over. But it never occurred to me on any single occasion that he was engaged in this espionage work.
But you really met with Ahmed, the late Ahmed. You saw him severally.
Not once. Okay. The first time I met him, we met at Coco Vanilla in Accra here.
Oh, okay.
And we met subsequently about 10 times. One occasion, Abu got him to my house. Then I met him in Dubai on 2 different occasions. So I met him many times.
So possibly your CCTV cameras in your house probably could also capture him visiting you some way or somehow. But were you able to? Did you meet with Anas too?
Did I meet with who?
Did you ever meet Anas in the course of all these investigations?
No. You know, the kind of work he does, he behaves like ISIS. the ISIS team.
I get you.
You don't meet him. You meet only one person. I met only Ahmed. I never met Anas or any other person from his outfit. And then at the end of their so-called investigations, Anas and Tiger Eye claimed responsibility for the outcome of the investigation. You don't meet them. That's how they do their work. I never met him. Meanwhile, he claims that he did this, he did that. That he met me at Dubai Airport. He did this.
So you have stabs of every movement.
It being a single occasion, not even for a second.
Interesting. Question, yes. We would like to have a one-on-one with you.
Tiger Eye is a criminal organization. They don't have a license to do what they are doing. They are not licensed to do what they are doing.
Did you have any evidence to what you're saying?
One-ton breakages or infringements of the law.
Well, in other news, an 11-year-old boy at Zuarungu in the Upper East region has become a school dropout, living with a badly scarred skin and sores after he was doused with petrol and set ablaze for allegedly spying on a woman in a bathroom. Though the primary 4 pupil, who was in the company of 2 other boys at the time, denied being the peeping Tom, he was accosted and subjected to the ordeal. 2 years on, and Ayeng Beha Abelinkira is seeking justice. JoyNews' Upper East correspondent Albert Sori has more.
Almost 2 years ago, a 9-year-old Ayembeha volunteered to work as a hand on a tomato farm so he could always earn a pocket change. One day in November 2017, he was sent to buy some petrol to be used to power a generator on the farm. He was in the company of 2 other children. According to Ayembeha, on the way back, the other 2 children peeped into a bathroom built outside a house. Incidentally, there was a woman inside the bathroom who raised alarm because she felt they had been deliberately looking at her nakedness. The other 2 children ran away, but Ayembeha did not because, according to him, he did not commit the offense. Even if he wanted to run away, he could not have because he was holding a plastic container which carried the petrol they had been sent to buy.
The
man had come there to drink pito. So when the woman shouted that we had peeped in to see her nakedness, he came to me and asked if I was the one who did that. I told him I was not the one, but rather the other 2 children who were running away. He then snatched the petrol from me and started pouring it on my body. The woman watched him, but said nothing. Then he struck a matchstick and set me ablaze. He said he wanted me to die there and waste away. Ayembeha says he fell to the ground wailing and kicking in pain until his 2 friends ran back and started throwing sand at him in an attempt to put out the fire. Other people then came to his rescue. They caught the man and told him that if he did not take me to the hospital, they would do to him same as he did to me. So he took me to the hospital. The assailant was arrested at the hospital after health officials gave police a tip-off. According to Ayembeha's father, they were advised to settle the matter outside of court so that the assailant, whose name they only know as Old Man, could take care of the boy's medical bills until he fully recovered. He said they agreed to this because they were also told that going to court would have meant that they take care of the boy themselves until the court case was over, and then maybe their expenses would be reimbursed by the assailant. I was in Kumasi doing menial jobs and could not have afforded the money for the boy's medical bills. So I felt that since the assailant had agreed to take care of him, there was no need to insist on going to court. However, Ayembeha's assailant has now reneged on his side of the agreement and has sent the boy back to his family. According to Ayembeha, he had been living with the assailant and his family as part of the agreement for them to take care of him. But as time went on, they started to stigmatize him. They would shout at me and tell me not to come near them because I had a bad odor. They even gave me a separate drinking cup and a plate, and I was not allowed to touch anything in their house. I was in class 4 when the incident took place. I should be heading to class 6 by now, but I have not been to school since the incident. At the time of JoyNews' visit, Ayembeha's injuries had been dressed. According to his mother, his whole body had been bandaged in the beginning, and it was depressing for her anytime she saw her son at the hospital. She says presently there are times when the injuries get so bad to the extent that nobody wants to sit near Ayembeha because of the bad smell. And all this is due to the fact that sometimes they are unable to afford the cost of getting the injuries cleaned and the bandages changed. The man, that's the assailant, no longer answers my calls. The last time we met, he accused me of being irresponsible. He said if I had properly looked after my child, he would not have got the chance to do that to him. Ayembeha's family want the help of authorities to get justice for their son. But not much is known of the boy's assailant, except that his name is Old Man and that they know where he lives. For Ayembeha himself, even though he wants the assailant to pay for the pains he has caused him, his main concern now is to get help to properly treat his injuries and go back to school. Reporting for JoyNews, Albert Sori, Zwarungu, Upper East Region.
In another disturbing story, 2 men are in the custody of the Sultan police for allegedly beating their houseboy to death. An eyewitness says he saw the 27-year-old man handcuffed to a pillar in a house as he was pounded many times with a pestle, ostensibly for stealing from his employers. He says the beating continued at another location. His story has been corroborated by other eyewitnesses. The Sultan Police Commander, Superintendent Kwame J.C. Afare, says the suspects claimed the deceased was beaten by a mob. He further stated there will be arraigned before court next Tuesday. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Friends of the deceased gather outside the Sultan police station as they struggle to come to terms with the fact that they will never see their friend again. One of them says he saw the deceased handcuffed to a pillar and then pounded many times with a pestle by his employer and his friend.
When we got to the house, we heard screams from the place, so we tried to see what was going on there. So we asked people around and they were like, it's our friend Smiler, they are beating over there. So when we go inside and then we saw the state of Smiler, the man who was beating him stopped beating him. And then we asked what he has done because he was handcuffed to a pillar in the house and then they were using fufu stick about this feet and then some brick stones to hit the guy. But when they saw us, they stopped. So we were all standing with him. I was trying to talk to the boy. When I speak to the boy can't speak to me back. When he tried speaking, he was doing like he has something going on inside him.
Another eyewitness who lives very close to the house where the incident happened says he heard some warning shots from the compound of the suspects, followed by loud screams as they tortured him to admit to stealing. His side of the story was confirmed by other residents.
They used weapons like stick and some iron rods, pieces of iron rods. to hit the boy at back till the guy died. So when they noticed that the guy is going down unconsciously, they took the guy to Deseret Hospital. The guy did not survive. They used handcuff the guy through pillar. So they fold the guy back beside the pillar. So they hit the guy at back. I heard a gunshot. There's a warning shot in the morning. But that everybody should not get closer to where the thing is going on.
A brother of the two people accused of killing the 27-year-old man says the deceased is a thief, stressing he was killed by a mob.
So we went into the first entrance, and then he took the next exit out. So while he was running, we tried chasing him. And as you know, within these slums, you have people chasing him too. So people started chasing him, shouting, "Hey, July, July." Before we know, they had caught him, started beating him.
Investigators are here at the residence of one of the suspects, speaking very vital information connected to this case. We've been speaking to the Soweto police commander, who says that the suspects will be arraigned. He also tells us that the suspects claim that the deceased was actually assaulted by a mob.
They are alleging they were having series of thefts. This missing, that missing, here and there. So they suspected him. So yesterday, they queried him, and then he admitted on a mobile phone. So they took him to where he sold it. They wanted to retrieve the mobile phone plus all other items that got missing in the house. Now, they said when they were going, they got to a point, the guy slipped from their hand and ran away. So they chased him into a house. They searched for him, they couldn't find him, so they were going, they decided to go back. And there they saw the guy coming from a bathroom or a washroom there, and then just pop into them. Now, at the time he ran away, they raised alarm, thief, thief. So, according to them, some guys came around. So when they later found him, the guys beat him. And they took him into their vehicle, trying to move away from the scene. But when they were on their way going, they realized that the guy was not feeling comfortable. He was dying. So they took him to a nearby hospital, and he was pronounced dead, just like that. So the story they are telling us is what I have said, but we have to do a lot of investigations into this matter.
Still on crime, 5 weeks after the rearrest of suspected Nigerian kidnapper Samuel Udotuk Wills, the three females he is believed to have a role in the disappearance have still not been found. This is despite assurances from the police and the gender minister that the security agencies are close to unraveling the case. Two of the ladies, 15-year-old Priscilla Mantebia Crunchy and 18-year-old Ruth Lovequazing, went missing in December last year, while 21-year-old Priscilla Blessing Benton went missing as far back as August last year. JoyNews has obtained a telephone conversation between the suspected kidnapper, believed to be 28-year-old Samuel Udotuk Wills, who is still in custody, and a brother of Priscilla Blessing Benton, the first lady to have disappeared. In the conversation recorded by Priscilla's brother, the suspected kidnapper is heard demanding an additional 500 cedis, having already taken 4,000 cedis ransom from the family. Francis Benton then talks about the last contact they made with the kidnapper and the day they were supposed to have been reunited with Priscilla.
One particular number that had communicated with the victim prior to the 17th of August 2018 continuously called this victim on the 17th of August more than 21 times. The kidnappers demanded a ransom of 4,500. These payments were made at 2 by 2 installments, but they failed to release the victim, after which they came and made a report to the police.
Priscilla's brother got involved in the negotiations with the kidnapper and recorded some of the conversations.
Hello? Yes? I've been seeing a student This is some reason why okay, my balance. Your balance. And you Emma, yes, and you said the Ghana. Then it means you are fooling us. How can you release her? When we give you the money, you are going to release her.
I get my balance, that's all. I don't have any issue with her again. I am not collecting any money again. It is not my 500, that's all.
Because earlier on you told us that you are
hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Yes. If I get my 500, I'm not collecting any money from anybody more than that.
Okay, as for me, I don't have any money. I don't have any money on me.
Okay, then don't call this night.
Oh, bye-bye.
On me kasa na oka PG kasa oka Nigeria kasa ni na oka unde na maka fanti ba me kan fanti no tim kan papa.
At one point, he waited all night at a popular junction with his mother, waiting for his sister.
Man 25 no catch him there. Yenke jina nkofo junction na wane ne baba. Until that time no I'm na mami ikejina wo.
Francis Bentum has been speaking in a special edition of Ghana Police Watch to be aired next week. The Takrady Divisional Police Commander ACP Duty Twaruka in that show speaks about how close they came to arresting an accomplice of the main suspect but was unsuccessful. He insists the police are not sleeping on the job and are working assiduously to find the girls.
A particular number that had communicated with the victim prior to the 17th of August 2018 continuously called this victim on the 17th of August more than 21 times. The kidnappers demanded a ransom of 4,500. These payments were made at 2 by 2 installments, but they failed to release the victim, after which they came and made a report to the police. We followed up to Sumanya, Koforidua, Okrasi, where most of the calls were also being made through the victim's phone. We also got the number that the kidnappers had given to the parents to pay the ransom. We got the number. We also got the call history of that particular number. We did a study, then we realized that another number was also communicating with that particular number. So we had to go after that particular number from a different location that is around Eastern region. We zeroed down from Eastern region and then we came back to Takrady here. Before they made a report to us, they had also made a ransom of 1,300 cedis. This third victim, the parents were made to speak to the victim. So, and we asked them whether that was the voice of their daughter. They said, they confirmed that was the voice of their daughter. And 4 men are standing on her, demanding the money. And she was urging the parents to send the money so that they could release her to come home. So that very night, we returned from Koforidua. Then we were led to the hideout of this suspect, Samuel Wills, who is a Nigerian national, age about 28 years. So the informant led us. So when we went there, we saw him sleeping, so we apprehended him. In the course of trying to arrest him, he tried to destroy his iPad that he was in possession. But we managed to apprehend him and then we brought him to the police station. So when we brought him to the police station, the third victim's phone number had also been given to us. And we realized that the number that was being used on the 17th August 2018 to lure the first victim belongs to the suspects, which was confirmed by the informant. And the number that the ransom was also paid for the first victim, 4,500, was also owned by this particular suspect, Samuel Wills. He had a call. We put it on loudspeaker for him to communicate to this John. And then John was saying he's on the way coming from Nigeria and that he will come here on a Sunday. So we all made our preparations waiting to apprehend John. And that was when this suspect escaped from the cells.
We're taking a break to bring you business, and coming up in business, stakeholders at the ports complain some interventions introduced to streamline customs operations and enhanced revenue mobilization are impacting negatively on the trading community. We also bring you the Agbewo demonstration which took place in Accra today. Stay tuned. Sandra Afenu is up next with Business News. A victim of the Ayawaso West Wuhan by-election shooting incident, Ishao Yaro, has denied claims they were harboring arms at the residence of the NDC parliamentary candidate. Yaro and 6 others were shot when suspected national security agents stormed the residence. The National Security Ministry claims the move was in response to intelligence that they were harboring arms. Yaro says that is not true.
And they say, I think tomorrow or yesterday we'll go to theater. I think that was the doctor said. The leg has broke. So my leg is very.
So it's like it was a close range shot, very close range.
Yeah, very close. I don't know. We're not holding anything. We are the aspirants house before we saw them coming. We wear khaki and black and some masks. He just asked us to leave. Then we said, why should I leave? We are at aspirants house. We are not at the police station. So we cannot be. Before we see they start giving money shots or to scare us. It's just that before we saw they start shooting straight, direct, direct. The injured one, my brother, is at home now. Before I see, I'm trying to escape. Before I see my leg, I fell down, I woke up, I fell down, I woke up. Before I see, that's my leg is doing like this.
What are they saying? The doctor themselves, what are they telling you?
They say,
how will they manage it?
They say it will be okay. That is what they are saying.
So they are finding a way around it so they don't necessarily have to amputate it.
Yes.
It obviously was very scary. It was difficult moments, right?
Yes.
And then people didn't.
Now, a group, the Interparty Coalition for National Sovereignty, is calling for the head of the National Security Minister, the Minister of State in charge of security, and the Inspector General of Police over what it says is the involvement in the violence that characterized the Ayawaso West Wuhan by-elections. Hundreds of protesters say the level of insecurity in the country has heightened, pleading with government to ensure peace. They have given government 2 weeks to respond to their petition, else they will stage series of such protests. Nancy Emefaja-Dozie now reports.
Enthusiastic protesters calling themselves Interparty Coalition in defense of national sovereignty marched up to protest the violence that occurred at Labaoleshi during the Ayawaso West Wuhan by-elections last Thursday. They carried various placards with inscriptions such as "Boot for Boot," "Security services have been compromised," "Nana is a tyrant," among others.
The way the country is going right now, we are not happy at all. We are not safe. A lot of things have happened. A lot of people have died. When you ask, they will say they are doing the investigation. They are making a research. None of any person have been arrested.
The police appeared ready as they noted they were going to ensure an incident-free march.
Regional Police Command is determined to ensure an incident-free demonstration, and that we're going to police all the routes with zeal.
Johnson Asiedun Kitia described the commission set up by the president to investigate the Ayawaso incident as fake.
The last effort they made was to rush the announcement of a commission of inquiry last night. I'm sure you've heard our response. I want to repeat our response. That commission is a fake commission. Mark my words and watch my lips. It is a fake commission that has not been established according to the laws of this country.
As the protesters marched on, Some of them, including Madam Sherry Aite and Nana Oyelita, sat on the street.
I'm crying for those who were shot, live bullets, unprotected, unarmed. I am crying for them.
The group's first port of call was the Interior Ministry, where Interior Minister Ambrose Derry received their petition.
Ghana belongs to all of us, but I can assure you that Mr. President is committed to making sure that Ghana is safe. We might have our differences about what is safety and what is not, but one thing I can assure you is that the President and the Ministry are prepared to work with the Interparty Committee, with all Ghanaians, to ensure that Ghana remains the oasis of peace in the sub-region.
The next stop was at the police headquarters. Despite heckling and jeers from the crowd, the IGP assured they will respond soon.
Having received this, we are going to give this petition our attention, our utmost attention, and definitely we will respond to that.
The final destination was at the Jubilee House. Convener Bernard Mona called for an immediate resignation of National Security Minister, Minister of State in charge of security, and the IGP.
To the national security apparatus, we demand an immediate and unequivocal resignation of the Minister for National Security, Mr. Albert Kandapa, the Minister of State in charge of national security, Honorable Brian Achambo, for unlawfully recruiting unqualified military and equipping them with state-owned military and police weapons to commit this heinous and barbaric crime.
The Minister of State at the Presidency, Roxanne Bukari, received the petition and promised they will work on it.
I thank the organizer for the petition. Without prejudice, the contents of the petition, I assure you that the petitions shall be submitted to His Excellency the President for his due consideration. Meanwhile, I want to assure you that His Excellency the President remains committed to making Ghanaian and residents feel safe.
The group has vowed to stage a series of protests if government fails to work on their petition.
Minority MPs say they are reviewing the 7-day ultimatum to the police, demanding immediate arrest of persons involved in the Ayawaso West Wuhan by-election. This follows government's decision to establish a commission to look into the matter. The minority MPs on Tuesday marched from Parliament House to the police headquarters demanding action. They served notice that they will soon roll out a series of actions to pressure the police to act, including marching back to the police headquarters after the 7-day ultimatum expires. Let's listen to Muntaka Mubarak and Unusa Fuseni speaking on the way forward.
That will mean a review of the actions, clearly. I mean, we had said that we will not dignify the presence of the newly elected member of parliament with our presence. Okay? And now that, and we were saying all that to draw attention to the fact that she came out of a process that we consider nasty. Now that a commission of inquiry has been established, we will have to review our position. And especially when the report is published, that is when we can.
So just maybe you review your decision and probably recognize her based on the fact that
no, we have no capacity to recognize her. We just said that we won't dignify. Yeah, but because she's a member of parliament, she's been sworn in.
I believe that there are a lot the president can do even before the setting up that, because the video footings are there, the individuals that he appointed, and we heard some of them speak. Those actions are actions that he could take. It is my prayer and hope that this commission of inquiry is not going to end up like others, where a High Court judge made a ruling that says that the Commission of Inquiry has the same powers of the High Court, so you cannot use the pieces of the information there for prosecution. I hope it is not intended to cover up people so that they cannot face future prosecution. It is my hope that the president can still do more, even as the commission is going on, because those officers, the videos are there, those officers that we all believe did not act well, are officers that he has control over, and we expect him to act.
So you expect, for example, the police investigations to continue, the president should possibly take an action?
Well, the president himself did not say that the police investigation that he has authorized is supposed to cease. It is our hope, but like I told you, we are going to a meeting and we'll be able to...
Do you suspect possibly a cover-up, even in the decision to establish the commission, so that then people would eventually be left off?
My worry is that when I look at the individuals that are put up, I believe that they are persons of high integrity. As to what they will do and will not do, I will not want to be talking about that.
Government has refuted suggestions by some law lecturers and private legal practitioners that the Commission of Inquiry set up by the President to look into the Ayawaso West Wuhan by-election violence may not lead to the prosecution of those found culpable. Private legal practitioners John Ndebugre and Justice Remsai have both cautioned Ghanaians to be cautiously optimistic as the Commission of Inquiry may not meet the expectations.
I don't know if you remember the Rekumbrobi, the Republic versus Rekumbrobi, the decision that came out.
Yeah.
At least that
was
is
challenged at the appeals court.
The challenge, yeah. So what actually the jurisprudence on Commission of Inquiry is now is that persons who are, investigated are brought before the committee to testify as witnesses cannot be prosecuted because one way or the other, Commission of Inquiry, the jurisprudence is to look at problems and then try to solve it in a more elaborate manner than to pick individuals and prosecute them.
The President of the Republic has established a Commission of Inquiry. The IGP, an appointee of the President of the Republic, is also carrying out some investigation. What is the meaning of that? I mean, I think that with the greatest respect, this question of Commission of Inquiry, in my very humble view, is a non-starter.
But Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah disagrees. According to him, there are still legal avenues that will afford government the opportunity to prosecute the offenders.
So first, the potential criminal investigation is not lost because of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Indeed, if you look at the terms of reference, it also includes getting the facts and a body of evidence and identifying the persons responsible for it and proffering sanctions. So that is not lost. Now, specific to the argument that a Commission of Inquiry may necessarily stop prosecutions, I encourage you to read the Republic versus, I think it's Charles Rekumbrobi and Kojo Nkrumah, the ruling of Justice Mafosa at the time. And there's quite a clear distinction as to why in that instance it happened. If in the constitutional instrument you have given people immunity from prosecution, then you will be estopped from going further to prosecute them. If you have a scenario where evidence is gathered by stripping people of all their legal rights, as in compelling people, stripping them of their representation and their rights, and you just seek to dump the report of that commission in a court for prosecution, you'll be found wanting there. But I think the ruling of the courts are quite clear as to what other avenues there are to put together a decent docket, even when you've had a commission of inquiry. So I do not share that view in this instance.
He's also denied claims by NDC General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia that the Commission of Inquiry does not have the legal backing because an ally was not laid in Parliament to properly set it up.
The proponents of that argument are grossly misinformed on the law and they are grossly misinformed on the fact because the law does not support that view. If you look at the Supreme Court ruling of 2012, the courts are quite clear that there are two types of instruments. There are those that are of the nature of rules and regulations. Those are the ones that you lay in Parliament to mature for 21 days. And the ruling was by Justice Databa, and I encourage you to refer to it and educate your viewers and your listeners. Those are the ones that you refer to Parliament for 21 days. If you have one that is in the nature of an executive instrument, you do not require. And indeed, if you check from the previous commissions of inquiry, you can check and validate whether it was laid in Parliament for 21 days before it assumed legality. So the law does not support that argument. The fact also does not support that argument because the constitutional instrument was dated the 6th of February 2019. It was issued by the command of the President under the signature of His Excellency the Vice President and gazetted accordingly. So perhaps those who are making that argument are not privy to that fact. And you need to help them to be privy to that fact so that we don't misinform the public.
Right. My name is Israel. Have a good night.
is Joy News Prime.